Welcome to Talent Tip Tuesday. My name's Andrea Ross. I'm the founder of the Career Establishment. We're a team building, leadership development, strengths executive coaching, and an e-learning business that predominantly focuses on the recruitment sector. And we are based in sunny Singapore and we service clients globally. Now, our Talent Tip Tuesday series is all about providing tips and advice to all the recruiters out there. It's pretty tough times right now, and I want to help you so subscribe to this channel so you can be updated with all the new topics coming up each week. So for 10 minutes or so, I will be sharing my experience, having spent 17 years in the recruitment industry and a further 4 years as a corporate trainer, to recruiters to help you with specific topics each week that you might be struggling with. So at the end of this session, we'll be asking you to reach out and give us your feedback and also what topics you would like us to tackle next. So last week we talked about writing compelling subject headers. Now we're going to focus on giving you tips on how to write a compelling introduction email. Now this week I'm going to be talking to you about putting together connection scripts or connection introductions on LinkedIn, as well as the type of as well as creating compelling cold call emails. So let's have a look at the first one. So the first one, obviously we're really restricted on characters, right? The first thing when we're trying to get connected. My advice is don't just press connect, actually write at the note. Obviously, I'm sure you'll know that. Because it just comes across as a bit impersonal, then you'll just kind of annoy the client. So there's two ways of doing it. The first one is not to really be saying too much about yourself. You're saying, hi John, hope you're well, you're staying safe during these times. Obviously don't put that in a year's time because hopefully that won't be applicable. I'm focused on growing my LinkedIn network with interesting, influential thought leaders in the whatever industry they're in, and came across your profile. I'd be delighted to have you in my network. Now you can change that up a little bit. You might find that it's not a senior person, so you wouldn't need to be putting a thought leader necessarily. Maybe it might be that you've got someone that's a real influencer and they're sort of quite specific in an area that they're passionate about. It might be well-being, it might be gender equality, all those kind of things. So then I would change that up and put thought leader or influential or something like that. The last line, I would be delighted to have you in my network. I think sometimes it's good to change that up a little bit. Sometimes to change that to, I would be delighted to be in your network or be part of your network. I'm delighted to be, part of that. So that sometimes can just come across as a little bit more personal. Okay, so that's kind of one way that you can be putting in there. The next one is just a little bit more specific about you. So dear Susan, I noticed that you're the Chief Financial Officer at Google. Then you put your recruitment name. Axel Recruitment is a global digital recruitment business within the B2B sector, whatever that means. And I specialize within fintech, covering Singapore or covering the region. I'm pleased to have you on my LinkedIn. Let's connect. So that one's quite nice. I'm pleased to have you on my LinkedIn. Let's connect. And then a name of yourself. It's not, it's not saying anything else. It could, for the client, it could be that the client would think, well, interested in me to talk to me about opportunities. And let's be honest, everyone's always interested to hear about opportunities. So that's not a bad thing. Or they could think that you're connecting to chase roles up. Could be either way, right? But I think that's quite specific. Don't go too much into detail on we have 55 offices around the globe and list them all, or it's not relevant. If you have seen a post by that particular client and maybe it's about, and you've seen that they're looking for local candidates, then obviously put that on your connection. We are a locally based recruitment firm that prides itself on sourcing local talent. Yeah, so you just tailor your actual connections to that. So that's quite, to make that quite specific. But again, you've got to be spending time listening, watching, hearing what your clients are saying, because then you can actually use this and be more specific and targeted. Okay, so they're the kind of the intros at first of all getting connected, the first rounds. This is just another one. I didn't realize I had 3 examples. So this is, hi Thomas, it looks as though we have a few common connections. I'd welcome the opportunity to be in a network. That's it, pretty simple. Yeah. So just try them out. You'll find that sometimes you might be sending invites to people, you don't get any reaction at all. And then you need to change it up. So be more targeted. I think the common, I think sort of typical objections that clients have of recruiters is that they don't make it personal. There's no, what was the intention of the message? So I think sometimes it's better to be quite specific on what that might be, so that you're not just randomly trying to connect with them. So let's actually get into the compelling introduction emails. So this is when they've said, yes, they've accepted your invitation. Now you either send an InMail, but this text can actually also be used if you were using it in an email as well to a client, yeah, for the first time. So we can use it either way. It's, you know, take a picture of it, it's all fine, it's all for you, don't worry. So hi, Sarah, thanks for connecting. My name is Andrea Ross, and I'm a specialist search consultant at Robert Walters that source talent for the finance sector based in Singapore. I saw that you're currently sourcing for a financial analyst. I have a number of exceptional candidates that I'd be keen to introduce you to. We have a solid track record in this area, and I've placed with over the last 3 years. Would you be free this Friday for me to learn more about the core principles that drive your team and present the candidate profiles for you to review? We can do this face-to-face or via video conference. Yeah. So in the last paragraphs, we've got to do a call to action. Yeah. What is not a good idea is to say, I look forward to hear from you. Let me know if you're keen to see them. Yeah. We really need to actually nail it down on a date. So don't obviously, are you free tomorrow? Because people generally will spend a week organising their diary. So next week is always a good one. I also sometimes will change it up if I know where the organisation is based. I mean, it's a little bit different now. People are working from home, so it's kind of not relevant. But when people are back in the office, 80% of the time, what's kind of nice is, hey, I actually just work around the corner from you. I know there's a great coffee shop that I frequent a lot. Would you be keen to catch up there? We can meet up over a coffee. Now that can sometimes really work. I think for some, it depends on the clients you face off with. I faced off with a lot more finance recruiters, and in some pockets of the banks, they would be quite happy to meet for coffees or drinks after work. But if you're working in areas that are a little bit dry, or they don't really have the time, or they're just not the type that really want to sit and have coffee, don't obviously put that on there. You know, just say, you know, you're free for 20 minutes that we can catch up and I can go over this. Or so I also really like the idea of throwing it out on a video conference. I love video conference. I coach a number of people every month on video conference, and I would never have thought 6 months ago that I would enjoy it or get as much out of it as I do. I thought that it would be really difficult to coach people through VC, and actually it's not. So I think we're all getting used to it. We are starting to prefer it. It's a great use of time. And it means that you can gather a lot of information. The client hasn't got to come and visit you. They're not taking a whole hour up. So again, you could be putting that in there. In terms of just a bit of an alternative. So another thing you could be adding on the bottom of that is, I'll give you a call. I'll give you a call in the next few days just to confirm. That really does scare people. Because if they know you're going to call them, they probably will reply quickly, whether yes or no. So this is one to be looking at. Let's move on to another one. Quick, take a pic. Got a pic? Everyone's got a pic? Great. Here we go. Number 2. Hello, Tobias. We have recently connected through LinkedIn, and notice we have a few shared connections. Insert the names. And you're bound to have a shared connection. Bound to. I've personally worked with Matthew Ross at Coca-Cola, and successfully placed a number of key talent for him in his finance team. I've been a recruiter in a finance space for 3 years. Now, I'd probably add a little bit more to that in hindsight. I've been a recruiter in the finance space for 3 years, and I tend to place people at, you know, it might be certain job types or certain levels, or just to be a little bit more, sort of sell a little bit more of a track record. I'd welcome the opportunity to put a name to your face, either virtually or in person, to find out more about your team and future plans for hiring. Now, I think this is a really important one, the next part. I appreciate this is probably not a priority, and share with you how the market is shaping up in your sector. I like the kind of, I appreciate it's probably not a priority, because sometimes when clients look at that, they go, oh, of course we're not hiring. But I think it gives you the opportunity when you speak to them to say, look, I know it's not a priority, the hiring, but I want to talk to you about your future plans. You know, we're always to you know, for organizations to be strong, they need to have high engagement. They need to be able to retain their staff, they need to be able to develop staff. And so that recruitment element is always going to be a priority. It always will be. So it's about making the most of the time now and developing those relationships and letting the client know that, so that next year when it is starting to pick up, you actually have that relationship. How does next week look like for you? Say Wednesday at 10. Would you prefer face-to-face, or shall I set up a Zoom meeting? So when I've put would you prefer face-to-face, I've already made an assumption they're going to see me. So there's no weakness there. There's no, oh, do you think you'd be okay? Would it be okay? Can I take up 1 minute of your time? You know, don't apologize what you do. You know, you do a valuable job. It takes a lot of skill to be a recruiter and to find the right talent and to take down different organizational specs and find the right person for those particular teams and organizations. So your time's valuable as well. So just make sure you're not sounding apologetic. Yeah. Everyone take a pick. We're going to move on. Okay. Number 3. Hello, George. We have recently connected through LinkedIn, but haven't had the chance to meet yet. I would always use that line. That was actually my standard line when I was doing my BD, because sometimes clients have absolutely no idea who you are, and they're getting these connections all the time. So it's really good just to say, look, we just, you know, we're connected, but we just haven't had the chance to get to know each other yet, or we haven't met yet. So it just makes it quicker to just get them to realize what's going on. Oh, right, gotcha. Okay, I'll read on. I'm a specialist recruiter in the data science area for Akron Partners, covering Asia Pacific, and have recently been approached by a competent senior data analyst to represent her to your company. She has specifically asked me to reach out to you directly. Is there a good time today that I can reach you by phone to share with you more on this matter? Now, that last sentence is really important. It's not asking for me to meet them and just wanting to ring up, get some action, get the client interested in this candidate. Yeah, it's very proactive, especially when you've got candidates that are in a space that you know there isn't many of them. Yeah, so you could also expand on that and say, I imagine, you know, you can appreciate that data analysts don't come around often. We're pretty excited about this candidate. We want to make sure that we present them to you first over anyone else. Are you free today for me to talk? Yeah. I might change that word competent. You might have a word that is better description for a senior data analyst. It might be seasoned. It might, you know, just be being, competence good, but there's probably other words you can use there as well. Okay, take a pick. Have you got it? Okay, let's move on. Oh, that's the last one. Well, there are the top 3. Okay, so I've given you introduction connections. I've also given you 3 emails that you can be sending, or InMails, whatever you want to be using. I want to thank you for your time today. Please send us some topics so that we can put together some other tips and techniques for you, and inquiries at thecareerestablishment.com. Follow us on Instagram. We've got Andrew's picks, and obviously the Talent Tip Tuesdays are all there, but there'll be lots of other information and content for you. So do subscribe to Instagram, check out our Twitter. Please make sure you follow the Career Establishment on LinkedIn as well, because we'll be posting things on there and not necessarily on my own one. So just make sure that you're following all of these so that you don't miss out on anything. Good luck out there. You've got this. Stay safe, and I'll catch up with you next week.